Every time I find myself going through an emotionally charged moment or season in my life, I find myself going to look for books that are quite comforting. And I truly believe that you never read a book until you are ready to read that book. Like somehow the universe, God has orchestrated it in a way that the book will fall into your laps at the very moment that you need to read the book. And that's what happened to me with this book by Ina Garten that I had just read. The title of the book is Be Ready When the Luck Comes. Of course, this video is not sponsored. I don't know Ina. I came across Ina Garten, I think, via some cook shows back in the day when I was a child, via cable. But as an adult recently, I came across her again and could finally understand her journey and everything that she's been able to build up for herself when I listened to her on Oprah's podcasts. That's when I came really close and I discovered that, oh wow, I have a lot in common with this woman. And the funny thing was, I had watched that interview back when I was in Nigeria and I had no means of getting that book. I just told myself that I was going to definitely read that book someday. And guys, a dream come true. I finally have read the book and I want us to talk about something that she said in the book. Something she wrote in the book that felt like a warm hug. It's like something in those words, in those pages, just gave me a warm hug when I read it. And as usual, I wanted to come on here and talk about it, but I'll read it quickly. She said, I had spent so much time avoiding the painful periods in my life, especially my childhood, that I wondered if I'll be able to open those doors and what will be behind them. There was only one way to find out: jump in. Jump in. So, what if the key to our healing as for healing girls is behind a door that we have kept shut for years and we are afraid to open? That's what I want us to talk about in this video. And so, hand in hand, let's take a walk and let's ease right into this video. So, you're welcome to the For Healing Girls YouTube channel. My name is Omolola, and this YouTube channel is, as the name implies, for healing girls. This YouTube channel is for people who have gone through a hard childhood or a hard season in their life and they're trying to step into a new season of blooming, of inner peace, of joy, and of not losing themselves completely in what have happened, but rather stepping into a glorious future that they know they have the power to make for themselves. I truly believe that because that's what's happening to me. And today we just want to talk about what I have read in Ina Garten's book about healing and avoidance and just jumping right into some memories because somehow those memories are not as scary as you think they are anymore. So one thing that she said in her book was how she believes she had a very difficult childhood, but right now she has been able to build an amazing life for herself. And yes, it's not all rosy. When we hear people say they have an amazing life, we sometimes begin to think that what they mean is they have had a rosy life. I believe I've been able to build and I'm still building an amazing life for myself, a beautiful life for myself. But it's not rosy. It does not mean I'm not going through the ups and downs and belows and ups and middle grounds and of life. That's not the meaning. It simply means that despite what life keeps throwing at me, I always still come out at the end of the day victorious, and I always still find a way to walk hand in hand with God to build and lace my life with so much beauty. Does that make sense? If that makes sense to you, then truly this channel is going to feel like home for you because We talk about a lot of those kind of things here. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, you want to tap the subscribe button, you want to like this video at the end of it, or right now, if I've said something that resonates with you, you want to leave a comment and probably want to share this video with people who you think are interested in what we talk about on this video. So let's talk about avoiding the hard parts of your story. Starting this YouTube channel, I was very much aware that I was going to have to be vulnerable, that this channel was going to require a level of vulnerability from me. I had the idea to start this video a long time ago, but I did not start it because I was not ready for that vulnerability. But one thing I have learned with myself is to give myself time, to give myself time. And finally, when I was ready, I started, making videos. And I'll tell you the truth, I'm still not there yet. I'm still not as vulnerable as I want to be because I'm also trying to learn the wisdom and the boundary setting when it comes to vulnerability, especially on a public platform like YouTube. I'm not here yet, but I'm doing a much better work, which leads me to talk about how I have, for a long while, or I had avoided my childhood. There was somehow a mental door in my memory titled childhood. And I thought it was one door, but I realized that the doors were many. It was not just one door, that each door had a year. It's like Omolola's childhood, 1999. Omolola's childhood, 2001. Omolola's childhood, 2005. Omolola's childhood, and I was avoiding those doors. I didn't want to just go and open up those doors. And it was so bad that I avoided certain places and people. I've talked about a bit of that on this channel. Avoided places and people that will remind me of my childhood. And to the extent that I always just dreamt of just packing my bags and leaving the town that I grew up in. And I eventually was able to do that. All this was just in a bid to avoid that door. But finally, as a young adult, I was able to sit down with some memories because I had journaled. I started to journal really early and somehow stumbled on some things I had written. And it made me to come head, or rather, made me to come face to face with certain memories that I was really trying to forget that happened to me as a child. I have realized that it is freedom to open that door and face those monsters. It is freedom that sometimes avoiding your past can be comforting, but it's false comfort. And that's what Ina Garten was saying when she spoke about jumping. That's what she was talking about. Avoidance is like trying to keep a wound covered forever. And we all know what happens to wounds that are not allowed to breathe. If you keep covering a sore on your skin, it's not going to heal. If you keep covering it, you don't treat it well, you don't go to see a doctor, it's not going to heal. It's the same thing with emotional healing, that if you keep avoiding the work of healing in your life, you're not eventually going to get to a point where you're on your healing journey. And it's not even just to talk about the healing journey, it's that when you're unhealed, it can affect the way you see life, and you begin to think you deserve certain things, some negative things that keeps happening in your life. It begins to affect your relationships. It just does so much. It's just like when you cover a real life wound, you're going to fester, it's going to fester, or you say it's like a breeding ground for germs and bacteria to grow and cause more problems. It's the same thing with your healing journey. So, what did Ina mean when she spoke about jumping? What does jumping really mean? Ina said jumping, like she realized that that's the only way in, was to literally jump into those memories. And that jumping could sound like this person is being irresponsible. But no, jumping is not relieving trauma and it's not irresponsible. Jumping is saying that I have decided to take ownership of my story. I have decided to go back to the pages of my past and see what had happened and how what had happened is currently affecting things in my reality, in my present life, and how I can do better, or how I can stop certain self-harming practices. So jumping could look like going for therapy. As I said, just imagine a physical wound. If you have a large sore on your body, you would not say, "Oh, I'm going to self-treat it at home." At some point, you'll be like, "You know what? I gave up. I think I need to see a doctor." Because if you're Nigerian, you realize that the Ori is not working. You realize that the spirit you're doing for yourself every day is not working. And you might just have to check yourself into the hospital and be like, "Doctor, I have a sore." The same thing with emotional healing. Jumping could be, "I need to see a therapist." Jumping could be, "I need to talk about my past with myself." That was the first time when I spoke to myself about what had happened to us or happened to me in my past. That was the first time that I felt a sense of power. When I opened those doors, I realized that those monsters were not even as scary as I had imagined them to be. They were not scary. They didn't have any power over me. And even if they were scary, and even if they are scary for you when you try to think about them, I need you to understand that it holds no power over you. So I need you to jump in and not be afraid of what you think might be behind the doors in your past. And if anybody tells you that it's if you're thinking about these things, then it means you relive in trauma. No. As I said, it's about reclaiming the power that those moments took away from you. If you felt helpless as a child, if you felt not in control, if you felt unloved, if you felt anything it is that you felt as a child, at the end of the day, I need you to understand that you could take back the power that those moments, that those events, the costs, the trauma, you could take back the power from them. You could take back the power from them. So for me, just reflecting on my journey, I wrote down some things here. And number one is the fear loses its power. The fear loses its power. The fear loses its power. I'm repeating this because when I finally was able to sit down with my thoughts and journal about what I had gone through as a child, I realized that I had some sort of power and control over the way I decided to show up in my present life. So that's why it matters that you confront that memory, because sometimes you're still giving so much power to that memory. That memory is still the one telling you you're not good enough. That memory is still the one telling you that you will never amount to anything good. That memory is still the one telling you that when you walk on the streets, people are despising you. And that memory sometimes or most times is concocting or is it concuting lies. And number two, when you confront those memories, you discover a strength you didn't know you had before. Kind of like an unveiling of a new you. You discover that you show up in the world differently. Due to what happened to me as a child, oftentimes I find myself feeling really down and sometimes slipping in and out of depression and not understanding why any of it mattered in the grand scheme of things of my life. But the moment I was able to sit down with those memories, I discovered that there is a there is a there is a time frame to everything. That was my childhood and this is my reality and this is my now, and that going forward I could do better. I could shine. I could do the things that they had told me I could not do before. When I confronted those memories, I discovered that I was in charge and I had strength. I'm quite a brilliant woman. I'm quite an intelligent woman, and I could do so much better than what those voices and what those memories that I was so much afraid to confront were telling me I could do. And then number three, when you confront those memories in your head, you make room for new beginnings. You make room for new beginnings because healing creates space for joy, for peace, and even the lucky moments that Ina Garten spoke about in her book. She spoke about how you need to be ready when the luck happens. Yeah. Like even for that luck to happen, even for that luck to finally happen in your life, you need to confront those memories and make room for new beginnings. There was something she said in the book that stood out for me again as well. She said sometimes we are in cages with the door open. Reading this book brought tears to my eyes because I felt so seen, so seen. So if you're a woman who or a girl or a lady, no matter your age, who have gone through adverse, is that the word? Is the word adverse? But if you've gone through events in your childhood, especially if you've gone through childhood trauma, events that have caused trauma in your life, I think you might want to get this book, especially if you're also trying to find your purpose and trying to see what or where your life will lead you to as regards your profession, love, joy, peace, blooming. Honestly, I'm going to recommend Be Ready When the Lock Happens. Because, yes, most of us are in cages with the door wide open. And it's high time we simply understand that we can make those cages totally disappear and we can walk or step into a whole new life, a whole new season of our lives. So, as usual, I always have journaling prompts in my videos and affirmations. And the journaling prompt for this video is: if I could open one door from my past without fear, which would it be? And what do I imagine is behind it? I need you to sit down with those journaling prompts. Be very true to yourself. Do not be afraid. Whatever is behind that door has no power over you. It cannot hurt you. It cannot harm you. I need you to sit down and really ask yourself this question and answer it truthfully. And the affirmation for this video is: I am safe to face my past. Every step I take towards healing opens the way for peace and joy. I think it's habits that every time I read these affirmations, I take a deep breath because I use them myself. And every time I have this talk with myself, every time I look at myself in the mirror and I affirm, whether I'm affirming the word of God in the Bible or things that I have personally heard in my spirit about my life, or simply just affirming these affirmations that I come up with for this video, or affirming things I've read from books like Be Ready When the Lock Happens by Ina Garten, or from podcasts, or wherever it is I hear these affirmations from, after saying them, I usually find out that I take a deep breath. It's so healing for me, and I hope it's healing for you as well. So if this video blessed you, if this video has ignited something in you, please do leave a comment. I am looking forward to a time where my comment sessions will be bubbling with women talking about what these videos do for them, what this video ignites in them. So please, by all means, leave a comment, subscribe, share, leave a thumbs up, just do something to encourage me. Because sometimes, as I said, I ask myself, is anyone even watching this? It's almost like I'm speaking into the void and I'm like, is anyone out there? But I do know that there are lots of you out there, and I see that in the thumbs up I get and the few comments I've gotten and the new people who subscribe weekly. Every time I post a video, I get like 1-2 new subscribers, and I just want to say thank you for always coming back. So don't forget that jumping is an act of courage, and you should definitely jump right into those memories, and you'll see that they have no power whatsoever over you. So until my next video, bye.